Hi. Um, Thank you for the opportunity of giving my opinion on a few things. Nice to be asked. Thank you, Adrian. But perhaps I ought to start with the fact I'm sorry I've got a cold, or this vestiges of this darn flu that I caught before Christmas, and I'm still stuffed up. So if I turn to off camera for a second, it's to wipe my nose. Anyway, my name is Josie, and I'm a trans woman. I am 66 years old, soon to be 67. I am a parent of four, the youngest being 28, the eldest being 36. No, 38. Oh dear. Yeah, honestly, I'm awful. And I have two granddaughters, aged 12 and 10. So I've had a family life, and my family, they know all about me and support me and everything else. That's all good. Uh, my career, I'm now retired. My career was as a police officer for 32 years, and then for 15 years a consultant and trainer on murder scene management and major crime investigative strategies. And these said faculties then because I worked in the faculty. Investigative strategies. I retired in April last year. Since then, I've been trying to find my space in the world, and at the moment, my time is taking up with poetry. Only open mic nights, nobody's going to pay me for it. Um, and I'm collaborating with a TV writer to write a series regarding, about me, really, my life, my experiences from the age of about 4 to retirement. And we've just completed the first of the programs. So I am pretty active about challenging things in the trans world, unfairness, spitefulness, newspapers and stuff like that. And that brings with it some problems on Twitter, as you can imagine, getting trolled. Um, so that's pretty much a very quick snapshot of who I am and what I do. Uh, oh, I suppose the other relevant things is that people always ask this: how long have you known that you're feminine and all those kind of questions? And I can go back to the age of 4 when I recognised that my body didn't match my head. I lived a whole life of temporarily releasing who I was and then locking it up again. I had a couple of marriages, and I thought that by getting married I would bury the demon inside me. I've had, having mentioned that, yeah, I've had the devil cast out. I've had psychotherapy. I've had regression therapy. But of all the people that I've seen and everything else that I've done, no one ever said to me, "There's nothing wrong with you." They always wanted to try and give me strategies for controlling this desire, which obviously was evil or wrong or bad for me or whatever. However, the last since 1998, probably about then, more and more of my life I was living my truth. That is, living in the world as me, my feminine side facing the world. And I went through a period of time when I was sort of not even half and half actually. I presented at work as male, but that was the only place I presented as male. But eventually I did transition in the workplace and went to work as me, and found that it didn't really make a lot of difference to everybody else because they were more interested in did I know what I was talking about, uh, and how good was I as a trainer rather than anything else. I was utterly supported by the Metropolitan Police, totally and utterly 100% how it should be done when you have a trans person that's working in the workplace. Working in the workplace? Who transitions in the workplace? Anyway, I've been asked my views on LGBT History Month and about being a victim of hate crime, and also about whether or not reporting that hate crime was something that I did, and is what do I really know about other people's experience of that as well. So here we go. Firstly, I do support LGBT History Month. I think it's important that we know where we've come for ourselves, that we know where we've come from, we know the journey, we know the sacrifices, and we can actually honour some of the people who've been before us to have made a path that I can walk along. Having said that, like in many situations where LGBT plus, within all the rainbow colours, where actually the T is there, but we aren't. Because lesbian, gay and bi are about sexuality, and T is about gender. And I just think that years ago they didn't know where to put trans people, and they thought it will fit nicely with LGBT, as it was then just those three letters. And that's where we've been stuck. And quite often I feel like I am an appendage. I go to LGBT meetings and I'm only the T, the only T there. I'm a token T, and I don't know what to do about that, how to increase our visibility. So LGBT History Month is probably going to be lots of LGB, quite rightly. I'm not complaining, right? I'm not saying that it shouldn't have a high place and be honoured. It's just that I'd love there to be more T awareness for us to share and to learn about. Have I been a victim of hate crime? Well, simply yes. Regularly? Yes. Over 100 times since I've been out? Yes. I've been assaulted, I've been threatened, I've been abused, I've been insulted. It's interesting actually, 4 or 5 years ago, it might be a little bit more, my memory's a bit cloudy now, under Section 5 of the Public Order Act, there used to be an offence of threatening, abusive and insulting behaviour or words, and the government decided that they'd take insulting off the statute books. So it's not against the law to insult me. Nice one. And do I get insulted? Oh yes I do. Your cock showing, and all that kind of stuff. It happens in the street. It happens when I'm waiting at bus stops. It happens late in the evening. I go to the West End a lot. I love theatre, opera, burlesque, and a particular club that I go to, the Phoenix, is a beautiful, wonderful performance area. That's where I've done some singing and my poetry, and other people sort of do stuff like that. And yeah, I sometimes leave when it shuts at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I can be walking down the street and then be accosted. So I know it's over 100 times because I've been out for many years now, living my life, whether it was earlier days as part of my life or as it is now permanently. This is who I am, and it's something I'm prepared for every time I walk out the front door. Or, like the other day when I walk in to the flats where I live, they're a small block of flats, just 6 flats on ground floor, first floor, second floor, and a 5-year-old child shouts, "That's a man, that's a man," as I come past a group of children playing inside in the hallway because it's raining outside. Not unusual. It's not the first time that happens. And of course I'm aware a 5-year-old has been programmed. That's come from parents. That's not come from this boy. Of course, if it was an adult doing that, and they did it more than once, that would come under the Protection of Harassment Act, and it would be an offence to consistently call me names or call me out and expose me in that way. and if it was an adult, it could be dealt with. But of course, there's no way I want to involve police or anything with a 5-year-old. It would be pointless because a 5-year-old can't commit a criminal offence. But what I'm saying is that every time I walk out the front door or I'm coming back, I am prepared, or I have to prepare myself to face aggression, insults, sniggers, threats, unkindness, being sirred. I'll come back to that in a little while. And they're all very undermining things, and depending on how I'm feeling and how I am, actually it's like being punched in the stomach. That's all I can say. It's like a physical thing that's happened, not just name calling. It undermines my sense of self and my sense of safety. And I know that's not just my experience. I know it's more particular for trans women than trans men, from the trans men that I know. Obviously, I can't speak for all, I don't. But from the ones that I know, because when they take testosterone, their features do change. So their voice drops and they may grow a beard, and so the features what people go by first, are sort of more helpful. And but for a person of my age, although I'm taking hormones, I'm due for an injection on Tuesday, my 3-monthly injection, and I take pills every day. It doesn't change my voice. It doesn't change my features. My face is my face, and my voice is my voice. And if I want that changed, I'd have to have an operation, and I'm not going to do that. So, have I been a victim of hate crime? Yeah. Does it impact on my life? Sorry. Well, I suppose you can see the answer. It impacts hugely on my life. Sometimes enough that actually I won't go out and I'll stay in because I don't have the emotional energy to deal with the shit. So for all those occasions, excuse me, I'm leaking now. For all those occasions which I've been a victim over the years, including assault, having my wig snatched off my head and thrown in the road, ha ha ha, that was really funny. Being surrounded by 8 to 10 males who've been drinking and singing a football chant with the words changed. Also, I don't want to go over them, not really. But how many have I reported to police? Bear in mind, I'm an ex-police officer of 32 years. And I've been engaged in policing for another 15 years. Well, the answer's 0. Why not? Valid question. I think the overarching thing is I don't trust the criminal justice system. Number 1. Number 2, nearly all of the things that have happened to me have been non-violent, and even the violent ones have not left me with any injuries, where I've been shoved in the back and pushed out by somebody, So it's technically, well, it's not technically, it is an assault, but I have no injuries. And the thing is, if I was to report them, I know what police resources are. And I know where they're needed. And actually, the resources to be put into place to try to identify my assailants would be, for me, in my mind, out of proportion to the outcome of what's happened physically, although mentally, the measure is deeper. It's very hard to trace strangers, even with CCTV, And if they were traced, and they got no previous convictions, what would they get? A caution. It's very unlikely the CPS would think it's in the public interest to take it to court. What would my time be? I'd have to go and make a statement, which would take a couple of hours. Also, I'd be on as a victim on the police computer system. I'd be a repeat victim. They'd seen I've been a victim so many times, they'd probably think, what's going on here? My glasses are wonky. And of course, in the early days, one of the major reasons I didn't report it is that I wasn't out to people at work. They didn't know I had a second life. And if I'd have reported it to police, it wouldn't have taken long before the rumour mill had managed to reach back to where I work, and I'd be exposed. And probably the words were, "He was wearing what?" Whereas after coming out and after transitioning in the workplace, it would have been, "Is she all right?" I can't emphasize how much support I had during transition or before transition, coming out. When I told everybody that, yeah, I am trans, but I'm just not at work, I'm booted and suited at work, the first thing that the women I work with, a bunch of detectives and detective sergeants, arranged a girls' night out with me and went to one of my favourite places, to a burlesque show at Madame Jojo's some years ago, shut now. But what am I saying? I'm saying, why didn't I report it? I feared being exposed. I hadn't chosen that the world would know at that time, so I knew that by reporting it, the world would know, or the part of the world that I inhabit anyway. So why didn't I report the things that happened after coming out? Well, again, it's about resources. It's about what's the likelihood of anything happening? Is my emotional energy and my time and everything that it takes to do that, is it worth it when the outcome's going to be nothing? See, if I was seriously injured, if I needed medical attention, then I wouldn't hesitate. That needs to be dealt with. And the likelihood of a successful investigation is greater because you've got science, you've got DNA, the use of the CCTV would be more eagerly sought, of a victim of violence. But even then, they possibly won't be caught. And if caught, the outcomes, is it worth my time and energy? Will it get in the press? So, although I'm an advocate, if the police don't know, how can they do something about it? I use a website whose address at the minute I don't know because I just click on it. I don't have it with me at the minute. And I can report things anonymously. It's not a police site, it's just a site that records incidents, so it's known that it's happening. And I think, why don't other trans people report hate crimes? And I think probably talking to my trans friends is similar reasons. And it's not that I don't trust the police. I've trained so many. I spent a lot of my time going around training police in trans issues, dealing with trans prisoners, trans suspects, trans witnesses. They're a lot better at it now. Still room for improvement, but a lot better at it now than then. So it's not necessarily not trusting the police. It's actually, is it worth it in the end? Having said that, I would support anybody who says it's my right to report it, and I will report the lower level, the non-injury incidents, because I want it to be known that this is happening in this place, so that more resources might be put in and they see that it's a problem. And I applaud the people who do that. I wouldn't say don't. Right? I'm just saying why I don't. Forgive me looking to the right. It's because I've got some notes here, just to make sure I've covered the areas. No, that's about it really. But I would like to share with you, if I may. I said earlier that I'm a poet, and apart from the fact this gives me a chance to read my poem, no, it is actually relevant to what we're doing. I wrote this poem about 3 years ago when I was just on the spur of the moment. I went to Torquay for 3 days. And something happened in Torquay. That happens everywhere. It happened here in London, on the South Bank, in a coffee shop 2.5 weeks ago. When I go to buy something or pay for something and I get sirred. This is what I look like. This is who I am. It's obvious I've made the effort to present as female. At the very least, they could say good morning or good afternoon. If they don't want to call me madam, well, I don't care. That's not going to make or break my day. But can I share with you, if you don't mind, this poem, which is called 3 Words. I've got to scroll up to the top because I didn't have it there. See, the thing is, I could be in a really good place in my head. I'm out, I'm in the world, I'm being me. There's no issues. I'm respectful to others, others are respectful to me. I'm treated well, I treat others well. And then all of a sudden, these 3 words, and they can have quite an impact. All it takes is 3 little words. Would you like your bill, sir? Said in a voice that's meant to be heard. Now standing in the spotlight so bright that I can be seen when all I really wanted was just to be an insignificant part of the scene. You don't have to call me madam. That salutation is not what I yearn. Just see who I present as. I'm not a sir, a mister, or a man. I've now walked some few miles from the location, but I can't escape from my thoughts, or my brain, which argues against me and shouts, again, you've been so easily caught. And now the sea looks at me, saying, let it all go. In a moment it could all be over. Just come on in and you can have my embrace. And the battle is ended forever. For that's how I feel. These tears are for real. I'm tired of hating the mirror. But I feel gutless and frightened and just don't have the balls. So I'll walk until life can deliver. I have all the questions. I live with them daily. I listen, though never expecting an answer. So, thanks for having an opportunity to talk. And if this is edited out, I don't mind. Right, and I wish you well, and yay for LGBT History Month. Only I just wish there was more T in LGBT. Bye bye.